Time for a little nostalgia. It is that time of year after all. Time for family, time for joy, and time for gaming. And today we're going to take a look at one of my absolute favorite games. It's time for us to blow the dust off of these gems from the past and scroll through the chapters of gaming history and find out just what makes them so damn great today. What's up guys, my name is Jonathan and this is Keep It Retro. So, as some of you may know, I ran a poll on Twitter recently asking you what I should do as my next review, and the majority of you chose to have me do a retro game. Like the good gamer I am, I know it's best to give people what they ask for. I'm proud to present to you my review for the PlayStation 1 classic, Medieval. Medieval is an action hack-and-slash game by Sony Computer Entertainment, developed by SCE Cambridge Studio of the UK. Released in October of 1998, I can still remember getting my hands on the demo of this game for the first time through a jam-packed demo disc. Popping it in, I was delighted as a child by the colorful graphics and great soundtrack. Thus, I was hooked right away by this quirky and unique game. It is a game that I keep in my collection and still continue to play even 21 years after its original release. Charm like that is hard to come by. The premise of this game is pretty simple. You are Sir Daniel Fortescue, a renowned warrior brought back from the dead to fight your nemesis after having your life cut short on the battlefield. Sir Dan rises in his crypt after the wizard Zarok casts a spell over the land of Gallowmere, causing the dead to rise and citizens to warp into demented husks. Even with the second chance given to him though, Sir Dan is cranky and not in the mood to be reminded of his shortcomings, and right out the gate, quite literally, you are harassed by two gargoyles for being a terrible hero. Classic. This game was created at a time when the Tood era was still in full swing. Yes, the 90s were kind of weird. Everyone had a mascot and companies went to many lengths to make their characters edgy, or to stand out. But with Medieval, it's a lot more subtle, and much more British. And as we all know, no one on earth has mastered the art of subtle but humorous dickery better than our friends across the pond. And that's a great thing. The writing is very well done, and the dialogue and jokes are very well delivered. It has all the charm of Monty Python delivered with a package that looks like The Nightmare Before Christmas did a King Arthur spin-off. The graphics are very colorful and still pop thanks to the lush color palette. While this game has certainly aged, you won't be cringing at the screen while you play. Objects and environments are definable and each level is well laid out, and pretty fun to play. You won't be bored while exploring the landscape because you never know what you might stumble upon. Surprisingly, the lighting in this game is quite impressive as well, given its age, and that will become apparent in certain levels like the church and the return to the graveyard. But one of the things I like most about the look of this game is that it never looked drab or uninspired. Each level has a unique look and feel to it, and they did do a good job of breathing life into the world around you. Moving into another high note of this title is the sound. As I said earlier, all dialogue has been well done and the writing is very well thought out and funny. I found myself laughing at characters giving Sir Dan a hard time, and his muffled comebacks made me smile while reading them. The music in this game is also excellent, giving off a very film-like quality that reminded me a lot of the Disney and Harry Potter films. It drew me in and it did a good job capturing the mood and pace of each level. It's just almost a magical feeling to it. It also was never overbearing or out of place, being used very effectively to enhance my experience as I played. The only con I could find is that the sound and the sound effects had not aged well and had a very low quality tinny sound to them, but that's to be expected with how much sound quality has changed over the years, so it's in no way a deal breaker. Gameplay is also a place where mechanics haven't aged the best. When stacked up to some of the other titles of its generation though, it could definitely be worse. For this review, I used my PlayStation Classic controller on my laptop to play, and as you may know, it's just a digital pad with no joysticks, so as you can imagine, controlling the game in its vanilla state is quite a chore. The game tries to make up for these things by having the camera follow you around, but sometimes it was disorienting because of the sudden movements it would would make, but after a few levels I found myself adjusting, and once again it didn't bother me too much. You do have the option to use the L2 and R2 buttons to adjust the camera, but I really didn't find myself doing that too often. There are also a wide range of weapons in this game, from swords to clubs to even bashing in zombie skulls with the very arm you pulled from your body. They are all very similar in the way they control, but certain weapons do allow you to access areas of levels you previously could not get to. For instance, breaking glass spikes in the church with the club so you can proceed forward and avoid damage, or lighting it on fire to activate switches. As long as you are facing objects or enemies, you should hit them, but I did find this to be a little spotty sometimes, and it could be frustrating when dealing with groups of enemies. Ranged weapons are also included in your arsenal of destruction, giving you the option to wield things like a crossbow or throwing daggers. You can't aim per se, just like with the sword or club, but you can face your enemy to lock onto them. For the most part, it does work, but I found that if I wasn't facing just right, sometimes I would waste ammo, missing my shots. But these are all small gripes and won't bring your experience down as long as you have the right expectations going into playing this game. It is pretty old after all. Nothing is perfect, they say, and this game certainly is not. But it's still a great representation of what Sony was doing to innovate games back in the day. And obviously it has a place in the hearts of gamers because they decided to remake it from the ground up for PS4 to suit a more modern audience, all while keeping the majority of the original intact. And to celebrate that fact, I'm happy to make Medieval my first retro review on my channel. This game is still an excellent experience that's well worth your time playing. Even with the PS4 version being released, this classic can still stand on its own merits and offers plenty of fun retro action. I would recommend anyone who hasn't to at least try the 32-bit version to see, if nothing else, just how much it's evolved over time. I love the era of remakes we live in today, but you still have to remember the roots and history of certain games to truly appreciate just how far the industry has come. Medieval is bar none one of the best games you will play on the PlayStation 1, and if you haven't already, you should definitely add this to your collection. You won't be disappointed. So, what do you guys think? Was Medieval one of your favorite games growing up? If so, let me know in the comments below, or maybe tell me about some of your favorite PlayStation 1 games you played as a kid. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with my channel, and stay tuned for new content as I upload videos weekly. For the latest in retro and modern video game news and reviews, one up your game today. Thank you.